This is Hashtag Finance, presented to you by the Canadian Securities Exchange, the exchange for entrepreneurs. With your host, James Black.
Folks, it's James, and I'm here from Newmarket today, broadcasting another episode of Hashtag Finance, and I'm really excited to be joined by the Very Good Butchers from the Very Good Food Company. Meet James Davison and Mitchell Scott, joining me from Victoria, British Columbia. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Hey guys, pleasure to be on the show.
Great, thanks man. Thanks for having us.
Full disclosure, we're taping this before the company has listed, so on the Canadian Securities Exchange. So I don't even know what your stock ticker symbol is going to be yet. I'm not really supposed to know until we announce it. But if you know, maybe we'll have a chance at the end to throw it up. So don't say anything yet.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
But what I do know is that you guys have been in the midst of raising public capital. You've got a offering prospectus, which was signed off by Canaccord. You can see it on CEDAR under the Very Good Food Company. And let's take a step back before we tell the story about why you're in the market. But what are you guys doing? You both have these T-shirts on. It looks like you're working at a restaurant. What's your story?
Yeah, you want to take it away, James?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the backstory. So we are at our butcher shop in Victoria, BC. And that all started with me on Denman Island, coming up with this idea of the Very Good Butchers. I just became a vegan basically, and I kind of wasn't really happy with what I was seeing on the shelves in the store. I'd been a chef for 13 years, kind of like into my gourmet food. And I really wanted to keep hold of being able to have kind of like gourmet meals, and part of that is like the meats that went with it, so like the sausages and the burgers and the ribs and all those kind of things. So you know, I'm sitting at home one day, I kind of thought, well, I'll just try it myself, see how I go, and kind of came up with 4 or 5 products, and then sent them down to the farmers market on Denman there, and just had an overwhelming reaction to it. I would basically spend like a week in my kitchen at home, making as much meat as I could, and then it would sell out in a couple of hours at the farmers market.
By meat, you mean this is bean derived, plant-based food, or is there other elements involved?
Yeah, so that's basically like beans, organic wheat, vegetables, herbs, spices, kind of as organic as we can. Still kind of getting a few different ingredients, trying to source organically. But we will be getting organically certified on like our first 5 products, hopefully within the next 6 months.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, massive reaction to that. And then kind of Mitchell came along, and he tried it, and he had been vegetarian for a long time. And I guess had eaten a lot of not very good burgers. I was, pretty impressed with what he saw.
Right. And
decided, let's try and make it a business.
Right. So my baseline is the one you get from Costco that comes in the frozen package. So what do you guys do that's, I imagine, a little better than that?
I think, yeah, our biggest kind of differences are the quality of the ingredients we get. So it's all it's organic vegetables, it's organic wheat, organic barley, organic oil. So everywhere we can go organic, we have. And then it's minimally processed. So imagine kind of making a soup at home. That's kind of where we start with that kind of base, and then we add our high protein wheat flour, and that kind of binds everything, that gives it that meaty chew. Again, that's with organic wheat. So it's basically trying to be as minimally processed as possible. Everything that you see on the package, you'll understand. You potentially have it in your kitchen at home, and that's kind of how we want to keep things.
Right. So if my next question was for Mitchell, your origin as a chef. So you were a chef in the UK. I've detected an accent. Yeah. But I also read your biography. So, and so this culinary training that you had, which obviously led to your ability to be creative in the kitchen with these ingredients. Mm-hmm. What did you know, or what did you bring to the table from your culinary experience that helped you do this? But I also want to know, what did you have to unlearn? Which I assume when you were in culinary school, they were teaching you all the different ways you can cook meat and all the ways you can make sauce off meat, but they weren't necessarily telling you how to make a bean-based meat substitute.
No. So I think the biggest thing that I brought from the culinary world is just an understanding of flavor and how to create flavor. Right. So I think that is the biggest thing. Obviously, when you're having a product like meat, it comes down to texture and taste. So with all of the products, I used flavors that you would associate with that product. So when I first made a sausage, I was like using leeks and apples and sage and thyme, those kind of flavors that you would already associate with a sausage. And then trying to add in some more like umami flavors with kind of various different ingredients, just to try and kind of get that meatiness as well.
Yeah, the texture is important, right?
And the texture is really important, yeah, and that's where the wheat flour comes in. It's for a vegetarian product, that protein in there really acts kind of like the proteins you find in like the muscle of an animal. So it gives it that meaty chew.
Right. Now, Mitchell, I was going to say, because not too many businesses end up on the public markets that started in Denman. So Denman, for those watching or listening,
Stick with the first.
so if you're going up Vancouver Island, you're going up the highway and you decide to go past Nanaimo and you find yourself somewhere in the Cowichan Valley, you'll actually find a little ferry terminal. I forget the name, but I've been there. Buckley Bay, I should say. Yeah. You decide you're going to go to Denman Island. You're not going to go shucking for oysters that day. You go to Denman Island. You say, okay, I'm not going to go to Hornby Island, which is the second island you can get to from there. It's beautiful. It's actually gorgeous. I highly recommend you go there. But stay in Denman and go to the market, and you end up finding your product. So I assume this was sort of like the proving ground. As James alluded to, you guys were selling out this product. But I imagine this was a really important time in the formation of the company to learn what people were responding to and maybe what they didn't like, and really that proving ground. Can you talk a bit about how important that experience was to have that environment?
Do you want me to address that?
Yeah. I want to hear your voice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So as James mentioned, so that was like the summer of 2016. He was selling at the farmer's market. I actually tried the products at a family barbecue. So we're somehow related. So James's wife's brother is married to my sister. So it's, some sort of step-brother type situation. So anyways.
Basically brothers, yeah. Okay.
Basically, yeah. So that's how I kind of first got introduced to the products. And I think that piece of it was crucial, because that's when you're finding product market fit. He's testing it one week, he's tweaking the recipe slightly the next week, and just getting that kind of instantaneous feedback. Mm-hmm. And that's how we took that model when we decided to kind of expand things. So after that first summer on Denman at the farmers markets, we decided to team up. One of the first events we did was a little pop-up market in Victoria, a little Christmas market. So we showed up with 2 coolers full of meat, and over 2 days we sold out everything. I had a few hundred people show up. We'd posted on a local kind of Facebook group before. This was in the Victoria Public Market. It's kind of a big indoor market. While we were there, we noticed they had a full-time retail space available. And the market manager approached us and said, hey, people are loving your meat. You should try one of these retail spaces. So we kind of just decided to go for it. And then a few months after that, we opened the first vegan butcher shop on the west coast of Canada, which is where we are today. We had about 1,000 people show up on our opening day. And we actually had to shut down for a week after that just to restock everything.
Wow.
So for that first, it was pretty incredible. And having that butcher shop experience really allows us to test and innovate and just switch things up. And also, obviously, because we were production limited initially, we're rolling sausages by hand, we're pressing burgers by hand. That direct-to-consumer sales model makes a lot more sense. You're maintaining more of the margin. You're also building a community. You're building a customer base, more so than if we were just to create a product and sell it in a traditional wholesale channel. I think it really allows us to form that bond with our customer and build that kind of strong community. So like today, we've got around 55, 60,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram combined. And that's really just helped fuel all of our other efforts and projects and things we're working on.
So do you ever get the people who are traditional butchers come up to you guys and go, you can't call yourself butchers, you're meatitarians or whatever, or vegetarian, meatitarian? Is there any friction there with the traditional butcher community with even using the term?
I'd say when we first started, there was definitely a bit of blowback because it was very people had never heard of a vegan butcher before.
Right.
Which actually worked great for us because of all the people talking. There was the blowback, then there's the people supporting it, and it ended up just multiplying. And it was like CTV News, it was their most commented and shared and liked Facebook post of the year.
Oh, really?
So then they came and did a follow-up story on us. I'd say maybe a couple times a year we get an angry email from someone or someone shows up trying to get an ox bone or something here and gets confused. But I think it's becoming more and more common, like plant-based to the past few years has just really, really taken off. So I think it's I think people for the most part, are open to it at least.
That's what's cool about Victoria as a proving ground, because there's so many different food options there. I think it's the most restaurants per capita in the country. Last time I lived there, you've got a very much a growing youth population. It's traditionally been an older city, but it's gotten a lot younger over the last few years, I imagine, almost just because it has to. But it's and it's got a nice core. It's got a good downtown that isn't too big, so you often have your 3 or 4 favorite places you go. So talk to me then about, you guys ended up on your track to raising capital, and you decided you're not just going to be a vendor at food fairs. You're going to go and actually expand and create a enterprise. And I imagine that's what led you to Dragon's Den for some seed capital.
Yeah. So what ended up happening? So we opened. We had 1,000 people show up, and we were like, "Holy shit!" People. Sorry, holy shoot.
Okay.
People like this. There's a market here. And then from that day on, we've been production limited and are until this day. So there's more demand for our product than we're able to supply. So that's demand, in-store demand. It's online demand. So we have an e-commerce store, and then it's also retail demand. So we figured, how do we scale this up, take it to the next level? So one of the first things we did in those, the first 6 months, we launched a Kickstarter campaign, raised about $74,000 from 800 different backers. It was basically just a giant pre-order for our products. We used that money to expand into a larger butcher shop, which is where we are today. So we expanded our hot food lineup. We expanded our product offering. And as I was mentioning, the concept is like that of a traditional butcher shop. So you come in, you get your meats and cheeses sliced up by the 100 grams. We also have a quick service restaurant with kind of fast casual food. So that's all highlighting our products. So burgers, deli sandwiches, vegan mac and cheese, poutines, just that kind of vegan comfort food. That just really showcases our products. So we did that Kickstarter campaign, moved into the bigger space, and realized, we're still at capacity here. We had a little production kitchen in the back, and there's 8 people in there making meat from 6 in the morning till 11 at night. And we're like, we need to kind of take it to the next step. And so the Dragon's Den people were in town just doing their little auditions, and went down there, pitched, and they said, okay, come to Toronto. So we went to Toronto, had a great result on Dragon's Den. We got handshake offers from 5 out of the 6 dragons.
Wow.
We got offers from 5 of the 6 dragons, did a handshake deal with 2 of them for $750K and $1 million interest-free loan for 10%.
Yeah.
Which put us at like a $7.5 million valuation at the time, a year or 2 years after founding, which we were pretty stoked on. Unfortunately, it ended up falling through.
Who was interested? Just out of curiosity, do you remember? Who
so it was Lane and Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. Okay, Romano. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Lane
was the newer one from Kelowna.
Yeah.
So we were stoked on that. Unfortunately, the deal ended up falling through, which is apparently pretty common with the Dragon's Den deals. We just ended up getting offered less than we were willing to accept in the end. So we turned around and we raised a round on FrontFundr, which is an equity crowdfunding platform.
Yep.
So we raised $600,000 on basically the same terms as the Dragon's Den deal. So it was a convertible note with a $7.5 million cap. That was just over a year ago, maybe a year and a half now. And then
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I know the FrontFundr founder, Peter Paul, and
okay.
That's very gratifying, because I know the idea was always that you would go use this system to then, bridge into the capital market, the public markets.
Yeah.
Instead of having to go do the VC thing like you tried to do basically on.
Exactly. And then kind of after that FrontFundr round, I also did the traditional kind of fundraising, going to pitch events, working that whole thing for probably 6 or 8 months. Had, some offers, some term sheets. None of them were that great. I wasn't that happy with them. Then we met a group. I was actually delivering a stuffed beast. So that's our Thanksgiving holiday roast out of this house nice house in West Vancouver. And I got talking to the guy there, and next thing you know, he'd gotten up a few of his buddies, and they put together a round for us. So we raised just under $2 million last July. And then the end goal was that, so there was a private placement basically, but with the goal of taking the company public in the next kind of year or so. This was also around the time when Beyond had gone public. There was a ton of interest in the market in the sector. And yeah, for us, it was kind of one of the best offers that was on the table, and we saw it as a great kind of, and somewhat different way to move forward.
So I'm not good at math, but from this point that you've just mentioned, you've raised about $2.6 million. So FrontFundr, then the pre-public round with the guys from West Vancouver, and now you've done an offering prospectus. And what was the goal with that?
Yeah, so we closed that out. It was 4 million. It was oversubscribed. Sorry, just to mention, we did also do a small seed round at the beginning with some friends and family, and I also put some money in, but it was fairly minor. So the goal of the private round was to get us ready to go public and also really help expand our manufacturing capacities. So about 8 months ago, we opened up a 4,000 square foot facility just down the road from here. We started bringing in some bigger machinery, and we've really, really increased our production capacity there. And now with this round, this IPO round, we're expanding to Vancouver. We've signed a lease on a space there. It's about 10,000 square feet. It's going to be mixed use, so butcher shop, restaurant, production facility, R&D lab, some office space, kind of all under one roof. It's going to be kind of what's the word? HQ. Yeah.
So the little company that could out of Victoria does have to get off the island.
We do,
a couple things, which is okay. I mean, you already left one island, might as well leave a second.
Exactly.
So this talk about the plant-based business itself, like just the industry. So we know Beyond Meat and how excited people were for that product, because everyone thought everyone's going to move off traditional meat to plant-based. There's been some hiccups along the way, but I think the point has been proven that people do want alternatives, right? Now, from a business operator perspective, what are there advantages to working in a plant-based? Is it better margin on the end product? Like, can you price close to real meat, or is it, are you charging it a premium? Like I haven't gone and bought a meat sausage or a meatless sausage in some time or ever. Can you just give me an idea of the comps and what people are looking at from a business model perspective?
For sure. And like for us, our inputs are relatively cheap. I mean, it's beans, veggies, herbs, and spices. We're not using a lot of kind of isolates or chemicals or additives or anything. So we can be price competitive. That being said, because of the quality of the ingredients, we're kind of going for that artisan, handcrafted butcher shop style product. So we try to price it close to what you'd see kind of in a conventional butcher shop for sausages or patties or that kind of stuff.
So Beyond Meat, if I go to, are they trying to tackle the more mass production type market where they can go to Burger King or they can go to a Tim Hortons and sell them an approximate patty that people can say, well, I'm having, it's not meat, but I don't know. I've tried that product. I can't say I was terribly happy with it, but I've had really good plant-based stuff. There's a place here in Toronto called Planta. I think it's still going, and you have their burger. You wouldn't know that you're having a non-traditional meat burger. It's phenomenal. So that's interesting. So you guys are now going to move to the island. What other expansion plans do you have? So you got the very good butcher brand, but is there more to this very good food company brand, or empire, I should say? Are you guys going to move into different verticals? Is there more room to grow as a provider of plant-based food production?
Absolutely. So that's kind of the end goal, is we have this very good food company. Then inside of that, there's a few kind of distinct brands. So we've got the Very Good Butchers. We'd love to do the Very Good Cheese Co. We're currently developing a few other kind of food-related products that don't quite fit in our butcher brand because they're not strictly a meat alternative, but they're still a great plant-based product. So the idea is we have a few companies under this Very Good Food Company umbrella.
Give me a couple of examples of that.
Yeah, of which?
The last one you just mentioned. You said it's non-meal. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, so for example, we have something called cauli wings. So it's like a breaded cauliflower, and it's kind of like a chicken wing, but it's not made the way we make our meat alternatives. It's more of like a delicious snack or appetizer. It's not quite that meat. It's not quite as meaty as. No, we're not trying to imitate a chicken wing.
Right, but it still fulfills that.
Yeah, so it just feels like, and like for another example, like we're working on some. We've got a really good vegan mayonnaise we make here in the shop. We'd love to put that in a bottle and sell that. It's a bit weird if it has that Very Good Butcher's branding, right? Because it's not really you don't expect to buy mayonnaise from a butcher. So that was kind of the idea behind rolling out this Very Good Food Company, so that we can kind of expand into other verticals, use that Very Good Butcher's brand power, and hopefully kind of transfer it into these other different plant-based verticals.
Do you want people to approximate the taste of your food to real meat, or are we just in a transition period where eventually people will know and accept and be totally happy with the fact they're eating a plant-based, meat substitute and just go, I actually prefer this. Like, this is my jam, whether or not you eat meat. You know what I mean? Like, if you had an experience, James, where someone has eaten something and gone like, this is actually better than a hamburger or better than a sausage.
Yeah, I think so. I think because when people look at the ingredients and they see what they're eating, there's a lot of that like, oh, I feel so much better about eating this product than I would about eating a competitor's product or the traditional meat product. For sure.
Yeah. And so having looked at Beyond Meat and what they've done, and you've touched on it, but I want to get into a little more detail is, they were knocked a little bit again for product quality, and that product quality that you guys are bringing to the table. I assume this is going to be the path going forward. You're just going to stick with that butcher quality. You're not going to go mass production unless, you want to get on a store shelf. You got to start making compromises. No?
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be a combination of kind of clean food tech and then our organic, low process kind of sensibilities that we brought into this at the start. So I think to really feed a lot of people and to really make a big impact, we will need to use some food tech. And I think that making those products kind of a little bit more kind of realistic will kind of, appeal to a different market. So then I think we'll have both the kind of markets covered. The very sort of hyper natural, I don't really care if it tastes exactly like meat people. And then the other people are like, I can't give up meat. It needs to taste exactly like it for me to be interested.
And you guys mentioned beverages. You're in the beverage space at all, or just the physical stuff?
So currently it's just meat alternatives. Looking at sauces and stuff that
Maybe
we make.
Have a very good pub at some point.
Very good pub would be nice. Yeah.
Meatless beer. Yeah. No, that's. Do you ever go back to the UK, James, and try to sell your friends and your family all this stuff, or are they just like no?
I don't get back there often enough, but there is a big plant-based or vegan movement in the UK for sure. It's really taken off there.
It's global, right?
No, it's global, yeah. And like the big brands and the big stores, the Tesco's and the Waitroses, all have their own kind of line of vegan products now, and it's still the biggest growing sector in the UK.
I mean, look at a country like India. I mean, a lot of their diets non-meat based. You just have to look outside your own border to see that there's a gross acceptance of this style of eating. It's not just, it's actually more of a North America phenomenon, how we've, put meat on our plate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's unique to what we do actually. So we're deprogramming ourselves, I think, a little bit.
It was still like that in the UK when I left as well.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. Again, I always ask this question in this environment during COVID. You guys are growing a thriving business. Mm-hmm. What have you had to do to adjust? What have you had to, pivot around to make sure that you guys can keep on your growth track, raise that money, hit the market with your both feet hitting the ground, without getting caught up in everything that's keeping everyone at home?
Yeah, so I mean, COVID definitely slowed down our fundraising process a little bit, kind of pushed it back by kind of a month or two. That being said, it was kind of business as usual as much as possible for us. We obviously, the restaurant butcher shop here, we really reduced the hours, pivoted to takeout and delivery only. But our online business really took off. Part of that was COVID related. Part of that was also production increases and a new marketing partnership we brought on. And then our retail, wholesale, grocery store business also, went up as well, just as people are buying more, eating more at home, stocking up on groceries. So we actually had to staff up during COVID while trying to still maintain kind of safety. So we put on a second shift and just really spaced employees out. Anything else?
Just seeing massive growth for it. It's been kind of incredible this last few months of growth. And it's just been trying to keep up with that demand and increase as fast as we can, but keeping up with the fulfilling orders and keeping everyone happy.
These are good problems to have. It's incredible. So okay, in the next step, as you said, is moving the HQ to, I guess, Vancouver or somewhere in Vancouver. Anything else you wanted to just mention before we get to the wrap? We've got a few other things that we can't really quite talk about yet, but maybe expect an announcement or a press release in the next few weeks. We have big plans and we're really kind of ready to take this by storm. Where's the best place to follow you guys? Just go to Very Good Butchers or go
Yeah,
to...
so verygoodbutchers.com, the Very Good Butchers on Facebook, the Very Good Butchers on Instagram.
Perfect.
And so we've got our Very Good Butchers website, and we'll have an investors page up there as well in the next kind of day or two with a bunch more info about the company.
And
Yes.
we'll also be launching the Very Good Food Co website in the next few days as well.
Right. And for those listening, you can also go... What's
Those are the
that? What
burgers.
am I looking at?
These are Very Good burgers. I don't know if the light might be a bit on it. We've also got our pepperoni here, and James's favorite, our Very British Bangers. It's an English
That's what I meant to
sausage.
ask. Yeah, what are you guys taking home every night?
A few packs of these.
Yeah, no doubt.
Amazing, the British bangers.
And where do you have to be? Can you deliver across country, or is it just local to Victoria?
Yeah, so we actually currently ship across North America. So we ship by DHL into the States, so airmail, and then we ship all the way to the East Coast as well. We have a special insulated box, ice packs. We're a little bit behind right now on fulfilling orders just because we have too many orders, but we're scaling up quickly. And yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, for those listening, the company will be public by the time you hear this, so you can go to thecse.com. All the company's disclosure will be up there. But good luck to you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to share more about the company. For those listening or watching, again, subscribe. So if you're listening to this as a podcast, just make sure you're subscribed. If you're on iTunes or Apple or Google, Spotify, whatever, just push subscribe. You'll get more great content like this. If you're watching on CSE TV. And again, we want you to subscribe. We're putting out 2 or 3 videos a week, interviewing great entrepreneurs like James, like Mitchell, who are doing an amazing job bringing new innovations to the market. And I'm James. I'm from the CSE, and I want to thank you again for watching. Until next time, take care.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it.